This is the machine.
It's a tad windy, but here we are now, about to put the engine back in. Yeah, it was an interesting experience, and hiccups along the way. Unfortunately, I didn't record too much of it. I was too preoccupied with getting it in. And I should say a big thanks to Greg for helping me get it in and out. It's definitely a two-man job, but with all the angles. It's like the complicated flight path for an aeroplane coming into land. It's like, I thought I had it taped, but I didn't. And then the new engine mounts, yeah, they were interesting too. So yeah. Again, let's see how we get on. Getting ready to put the engine back in. Cleared the garage so that there's more space. I've extended my engine crane dangerously using some rusty pole. That's given me an extra 10 centimetres or so of reach. Based on last time's experience, I welded up the tilting mechanism here, and I'm just about now to try and ratchet the car into the garage with a little bit of clearance each side. It's looking good. Yes. And it's really irritating because at that point the time lapse ran out, or the battery ran out, and I didn't notice. And so at one point there was a really satisfying clunk as the engine just fell into its proper place, and we did a lot of embarrassing high fives and things. So probably not the best content there. So maybe a good thing that it stopped. It's the day after. The engine's in. Yeah, it was a tiny bit of a pain in the arse. It got hung up on the motor mount brackets, but once we kind of spread them a little bit, it slid straight in. I just hope we haven't damaged anything doing it. It got a bit brutal towards the end, and my homemade tool failed again. This time the weld broke. Shitty welds. It's stainless steel on mild steel. No excuse though. Yeah, and what it also did was it spread shiny shit all over the inside of the engine. So I've been up this morning hoovering all the swarf out of all the holes and resealing them all. I think we've got away with it. Anyway, the next thing to do is to connect the transmission back up, get that stuff sorted, put the wiring loom in so we can turn it over and do a compression test. I think we're all very excited, well I am, to see how shit number 5 will be. First start of this fan. After however long, I've greased it up and found a connector to test with. Let's see if she blows. It's raining yet again, and so in my newly organised garage, which I did for the engine coming in, I've moved it in again. Nearly gave me a hernia rolling it in, but it's in now, and I've got it up on axle stands. And so today's job, first job, is to try and connect the engine to the drivetrain again, which seemed pretty easy getting it out, but who knows what it will be like getting it back together again. Another interesting thing, when I jacked it up, the body frame twisted and that door wouldn't shut, which is a tad worrying, but I guess all part of like the minimalist supercar design. I think that's what we'll ascribe that to. It shuts now. I've got it jacked equally at each corner. Let's have a look underneath. So there it is. That piece there. It can move. It's like I've released it, and then it can butt up. It moves really nicely. And one would hope that actually those holes line up, because if they don't, we could be in a bit of a pickle. It looks like they do, more or less. So we'll see, and I guess it has to fit in through a collar inside. Oh, and look, I can match up the red marks, which is satisfying but ultimately futile, I imagine. Anyway, yeah, so I can get that together. Then I can get the bell housing on. Then I can get the starter motor in. And then I can start putting the loom in. Then we can start doing compression tests. I've got to remember to put oil in it too. Yeah, that's an important thing. It's just got assembly lube inside it at the moment. Just going to give them a bit of a clean on my long-suffering pillar drill. Remember, one of these was actually in the bell housing. It wasn't actually doing any work inside. I guess it might be that one, which is pretty rusty. Shite. And the release from my hands is all part of the technique. It achieves a cleaner bolt in the end if it rolls around on the floor for a bit. Excellent. Right, let's see how we go. I've got my bolts. A little washer. I've got my red marks lined up. Let's put a bit of this lithium grease on. Right, is there a hole? Oh, is that a hole? I don't know if I'm quite lined up. Oh, there. Oh, surely not. Oh, surely not, no. Well, there's definitely something happening there. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Because get this and draw it in, because I think at some point I'm going to have to turn the engine over, which I'm scared to do because it's still full of assembly lube and I still worry that there's something wrong inside it. I mean, you've watched the ongoing bodging, so you know what we're playing with here. Scored bores, less than perfect laboratory conditions for putting it back together again. My inattentiveness, lack of attention to detail, all the things that my annual appraisals at work tell me. There you go, see, busy chatting, doing the water cooler thing. Forgot me lithium grease. Oh, that just went in my eyes, Jesus. Right, yes. Oh, it's going in, that's in. Do another one. Anyway, okay, so it's going in, looks good, the marks are lined up. I'm going to cut it now and come back when we're a bit closer. Okay, you can watch here while I turn it through 180 degrees to get to those top bolts. Let's hope it goes smoothly, and I will be doing it clockwise. Oh yes. Excellent, get those last two in. And I'm going to have to find a way of torquing them. I suspect we're going to have to be doing the half-handy methodology on this, because I don't think I can get a torque wrench in there. It could be an error putting this lithium grease on, but I don't know. I like the idea of being able to get them out again. Tighten those up and then I can put the... oh no! I need to go and find a washer. Arse. Well, this is a dilemma. It's really difficult to torque these because that thing's in the way. I guess I could try and move it off. I've got to do them to 90 Newton meters, and I really like to torque them up. Maybe I need to find a shallower socket. Let's try that. Right, so maybe a crow's foot will work. I've had these for years. I've never really used them, but I've got no idea what the torque multiplying effect might be. Oh, that's working. Oh, but the flywheel's twisting. And I can't lock the flywheel. When you're using the amazing tool that I made, but maybe if I get somebody on the front to hold it, but that looks like you can get some nice torque on it. Maybe I can do it with a screwdriver. I need to be the other side. The ubiquitous lithium going in. Yeah. Just interesting. Well, it's interesting to me. But this bit is welded to this bit, and so it is just a clamp. So I was banging the shit out of it, and it wouldn't move. Yeah, that's not that interesting really, is it? But it might help somebody else who's banging it. Well, not this one. Well, anyway. Next step is exhaust. Crank the exhaust back up. Got these new gaskets all the way from Germany. I wonder where that came from. Oh well. And I'm just going to use M8 bolts with steel nuts on, kind of grippy ones, because I guess the next time this comes off it's either going to be pretty soon or it'll be in years, then everything would be rusted anyway. Okay, so I've got the lower, whatever you call it, bell housing cover on, torqued up the bolts. The exhaust is in. Really quite satisfying that. It was relatively easy to do. Cranked up nicely with those M8 bolts. And I can always tighten them more if they're leaking later on. And then I think this is going to need some attention. It's like decloaking a little bit, but I think it's largely fine on this silencer. So I'm going to get the welder out and do some bad welding on it just to close that up. Time to tidy it up. I've ground the edges so they're more or less clean. I'm now going to use the trolley jack to try and ease that up so that it clamps up again. Failing that, I might have to use a clamp or a ratchet strap. Don't know, let's see how this goes. That's not working terribly well. I need to go on the edge. There's something stopping that. What a monumental bodge. I think we could call the exhaust like a consumable, really, and obviously this will get replaced at some point. And I've had to stitch the outer skin together because there was, like, I hadn't realised before, but there was some I guess noise deadening stuff between the inner bit and the outer bit, which was stopping it go together properly. So anyway, I'm gonna grind that down a bit and call it a day on the exhaust. At least it's back together again. We'll see how well it goes. Perfect. That's going to pass a concours inspection for sure. I need to finish off the engine mounts, which are here, and because I've been so very, very clever, I think I'm going to need to do a little bit of manipulation to get the bolts in. Yeah, let's see how we go on that one. The other thing I've got to do is also on this side tighten the top of it, because I loosened it to get it in, because getting the engine in all hinged around getting the sump here between where the engine mount plates are, and it was just like a delicate balance of like weight on them and prying them apart with a screwdriver, and it just fell in. But now I've got to figure out how to tighten up the top and get those bolts in the bottom. So here we go. There's the engine mount holes. They're not far off. What's odd is that the bolts are super long that I've labelled, and I'm pretty sure I'm not that stupid. So maybe that goes all the way up. Ooh. That's in. So that goes in there like that. Oh, this is boringly easy. Famous last words though, of course. And that one, that's a smaller one. And those, well, the engine's the original, so why have I got 4 of these mothers? Oh, of course I got 4, because there was only 4. One for each side. Sorry, that was a rather offensive noise I just made there. It's supposed to be bovine. I'm an idiot. Okay, so I can see if I can get the one on the other side in, and then we're good to go. And actually, there is pretty good access to the top to tighten that one up. Cool. Right. Okay, let's see how it goes. There it is. Should be satisfying. Oh yeah. I guess I'll do something a bit more talky on that one. And then the other one is up in here. That's the other one in. Now to do the other side. Well, it's in, and most of the important stuff's connected up. I don't know if you gearbox works. But now we move on to the electrics, and there's fun in store there, I can tell you. I think I'm not spoiling anything by saying that it's the worst electrics I've ever seen. I'm a bodger, but man, we've got some proper bodging coming out. So yeah, please tune in for the next episode.